And of course, pockets of the crowd shouting, "Are you Schmeichel?" in disguise won't have harmed his confidence, will it, today?
Yeah, I think we all hope he can be the next Peter Schmeichel.
Manchester United may have found the exact type of goalkeeper André Onana was supposed to become, and that should terrify him.
He's flung it in, it's a beauty, and Lammens has reacted sharply and athletically.
Because this is no longer just about saves, this is about trust. For years, Manchester United fans understood what a goalkeeper was supposed to feel like. Schmeichel gave them authority, Van der Sar gave them calm, De Gea, even in broken United teams, gave them miracles. 545 appearances, 190 clean sheets, 4 Sir Matt Busby awards, and nights like Arsenal away when he made 14 saves and turned chaos into survival.
Outright the best goalkeeper in the world.
The best goalkeeper in the world.
It's just facts that De Gea is the best goalkeeper in the world.
Probably rightly spoken about as being the best goalkeeper in the world.
We got the best goalkeeper in the world.
Then the feeling disappeared. Onana arrived for £47 million to modernise United, to control games from the back, to become the ball-playing goalkeeper Erik Ten Hag believed would change everything. But instead of control, United got anxiety.
I don't think he makes good saves. I think he is another player on the pitch who you try and protect because he's not going to save the ball.
Bayern, Galatasaray, Grimsby. Mistakes became moments, moments became doubt, doubt became fear.
You've got to change that goalkeeper. He's not good enough to take United into the top 4. Nowhere near good enough.
And once fans start holding their breath before the shot is even taken, the goalkeeper is already losing the stadium. That is why Senne Lammens feels different.
You know, I think 23 years old, coming to Manchester United, first few days training, he's been very impressive so far. And as I say, I really like his goalkeeping fundamentals.
He's only 23, he's not world class yet, mistakes will come, but from his first clean sheet against Sunderland to another huge performance at the Stadium of Light, with United flat, missing key players, creating almost nothing and relying on him to stop Noah Siddiqui and Brian Brobby from winning the game, Lammens has started giving United something bigger than saves. He's given them emotional security again. And for Onana, that may be the most dangerous thing of all. Because once Manchester United fans emotionally move on from a goalkeeper, there is almost no way back. This is why Senne Lammens has become exactly what André Onana was scared of.
Let me tell you something about the Manchester United goalkeeper shirt that nobody puts in the job description. It doesn't just ask you to make saves, it asks you to carry history, and brother, that history is heavy. At most clubs, a goalkeeper gets judged on clean sheets, save percentage, distribution, maybe how good he is with his feet now that Guardiola made everyone paranoid about that. But at Old Trafford, the judgment is different. Every mistake gets held up next to Schmeichel's dominance, every moment of hesitation gets compared to Van der Sar's calm, every big save gets measured against De Gea, a man who spent the better part of a decade personally keeping Manchester United from becoming a laughingstock. And trust me, there were seasons where that was a full-time job. That's the weight Senne Lammens walked into, the same weight that eventually swallowed André Onana whole. United fans weren't trained to see their goalkeeper as just another player. They were trained to expect presence. A goalkeeper who makes defenders feel taller, makes strikers feel smaller, and makes the whole stadium believe that even when United are all over the place, which fair enough has been often, the game isn't gone yet. That expectation started with Schmeichel, and it set a standard that's been absolutely merciless ever since. Peter Schmeichel wasn't a shot stopper, he was a force. Between 1991 and 1999, he became the physical and emotional image of Ferguson's first great machine. Loud, aggressive, massive in 1v1s, almost theatrical in the way he made himself feel bigger than the goal itself. In 98-99, the treble season, he lifted the European Cup as captain in Barcelona, his final act at United. Captain in Barcelona. The man didn't do quiet exits. Then Van der Sar arrived in 2005 and the standard shifted again, but in a completely different direction. Van der Sar wasn't Schmeichel's chaos, he was control, positioning, timing, quiet authority. The kind of goalkeeper that makes a back four feel like they're sleeping on a good mattress. Everything just feels settled. He was central to United winning the Champions League in 2008, including that penalty shootout with Chelsea and Moscow. Then in 2008-09, he went more than 1,300 Premier League minutes without conceding a single goal, which is one of those stats that sounds made up until you check it and then you just sit there for a moment. That's why United fans became conditioned to something very specific. They didn't just want a goalkeeper who could react, they wanted one who could command, someone whose body language alone tells the defenders, "I have this, calm down." That invisible thing, the trust between goalkeeper and defence, goalkeeper and stadium, that's the part that never shows up in basic stats, but absolutely determines how a team feels in dangerous moments. And then came De Gea, and honestly, De Gea's story matters most because he's the reason the whole conversation got so complicated. He arrived from Atletico in 2011, young, skinny, technically gifted, immediately tested by everything English football had to offer. Crosses, big physical strikers, a media that had already written his obituary by November. The early questions were real. He wasn't loved straight away. He had to survive before he could be trusted. But once he settled, De Gea became the safety net of the post-Ferguson era. And that phrase, safety net, is everything. United after Ferguson were often a mess, managers in, managers out, defensive partnerships that lasted about 3 months, midfields losing the plot, but De Gea kept making unstable teams look less broken than they actually were. 545 appearances, a club record 190 clean sheets, 12 years, 4 Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year awards, not because he was the best player, but because for long stretches he was the only thing standing between United and genuine humiliation. The 2017-18 game at Arsenal tells you everything. United won 3-1. Arsenal had 33 shots. De Gea made 14 saves, equaling the Premier League record for most in a single match. 14! United were hanging on by their fingernails, and this man was just there, turning saves into folklore while 10 other players forgot what shape they were supposed to be. That's what United fans grew to expect. When the team loses control, the goalkeeper keeps them alive. But football moved, and De Gea, brilliant as he was, didn't move with it. By the time Ten Hag arrived, the goalkeeper conversation had completely changed. The modern elite keeper isn't just a last line of defence, he's the first line of attack, splitting centre-backs, inviting pressure, breaking lines with passes, acting almost like an outfield player who happens to wear gloves. Guardiola basically rewired how the whole game thinks about this position, and now everyone's scrambling to catch up. De Gea still won the 2022-23 Premier League Golden Glove with 16 clean sheets. The man could still save a ball, but Ten Hag wanted a goalkeeper who could control a match, not just survive one. Different job, different profile. So United paid £47.2 million for André Onana. And look, from a pure tactical standpoint, the logic was sound. Onana had worked with Ten Hag at Ajax, he just reached the Champions League final with Inter Milan, he was comfortable on the ball under pressure, happy to step out of his box, willing to pass through channels that would make an average goalkeeper physically ill with anxiety. He was supposed to be the starting point of a completely new way of playing. The idea was right, the execution became a disaster. Here's the thing about a ball-playing goalkeeper. It only looks brave when the system works. When it breaks, it looks reckless. And United's system, for long chunks of Onana's time there, was broken in exactly the wrong ways. Centre-backs uncomfortable receiving under pressure, midfield too open, distances too big, structure too loose. Onana was being asked to play high-risk football without the protection that makes high-risk football a sensible idea. That's a terrible place for a goalkeeper to live. The Champions League nights in 2023-24 did the real damage. Against Bayern Munich, Leroy Sané's shot went under him. Onana stood up publicly and said he'd let the team down, fair play for owning it, genuinely. But then came Galatasaray, where United twice threw away leads in a 3-3 draw, with Onana making 2 costly mistakes from Hakim Ziyech free kicks.
2 from the same player in the same game. And with goalkeepers, once the trust goes, it's gone. You can't quietly win it back with a couple of good games. The crowd starts holding its breath before a shot is even taken. Defenders stop feeling settled. Every back pass feels loaded. Every cross feels like a negotiation. Every routine save becomes a test of nerves for 74,000 people. The anxiety doesn't stay in goal, it spreads. By 2025, it had gotten brutal. Nemanja Matic publicly called him one of the worst goalkeepers in Manchester United history before a Europa League tie with Lyon. Now, Matic can be a divisive voice at the best of times, but the fact that someone was saying it out loud told you exactly how far the perception had fallen. Then came a League Cup defeat to Grimsby Town, Grimsby, in August 2025, where Onana was blamed for goals in a shock loss that felt like a full-body cringe moment for everyone connected to the club. Weeks later, United signed Senne Lammens from Royal Antwerp. Onana went on loan to Trabzonspor, September 2025, and that's why this whole story matters. Onana was supposed to represent the future of Manchester United's build-up, the goalkeeper who finally moved the club out of survival football and into something modern.
But instead, he became a symbol of a rebuild that demanded technical bravery without giving him the structural stability that makes technical bravery anything other than gambling. United replaced a goalkeeper who saved matches with one who was supposed to control them. Onana couldn't do either in the end. Not because the idea was wrong, but because you can't ask one player to carry a broken system on his back. De Gea tried that for a decade and it nearly broke him too. While Onana was losing the trust of Old Trafford, Manchester United quietly signed a 23-year-old from Belgium, and the weight of that shirt passed on again.
Lammens didn't win United fans over by looking flashy. He won them over by making the goal feel normal again. For a club that spent years watching the goalkeeper position become weekly must-see drama, and not in a good way, that's worth more than people realise. Before Old Trafford ever cared about his name, the profile was already interesting. He came through Belgian football quietly, KRC Bam Bruges, Dender, Club Bruges' academy. At 17, he scored a stoppage-time equaliser for Bruges' under-19s against Real Madrid in the UEFA Youth League. A goalkeeper, stoppage time against Real Madrid. Doesn't make a career, but it tells you this wasn't a kid who hides inside the position. His serious development came at Royal Antwerp, where he signed a 4-year deal after leaving Bruges in 2023. By 2024-25, he'd taken the #1 shirt and built a real reputation. 173 saves in the Belgian Pro League, the most recorded in that division. He also saved penalties against Ghent, Westerlo, Beerschot, Sint-Truiden and Union Saint-Gilloise that season. That's not a goalkeeper being protected by a dominant team. That's a goalkeeper who was working every single week. United paid £18.2 million to sign him on deadline day in September 2025. Not superstar money, a bet on profile. Tall, 23, good reactions, penalty instincts, aerial command, and room to grow. Now here's where it gets tactically honest. Onana wasn't signed because he was bad, he was signed because he represented a football idea. Proactive, brave in possession, comfortable receiving under pressure, capable of passes most goalkeepers wouldn't even consider. The theory was sound. Use the goalkeeper to control the first phase, break lines, change how United build from the back. The problem was, United were never stable enough to make that idea actually work. So Onana kept getting exposed. Too much risk, not enough structure around him. When the errors came, they didn't feel isolated. They felt like the whole thing was unraveling. Lammens simplifies the picture. He's not trying to turn every possession into a tactical statement. His passing numbers actually show he goes long frequently. 66% of his passes in the Premier League have been long balls, including 33 of 36 against Arsenal, and and 11 of 13 in a 2-0 win against City. That tells you everything. With Lammens, United aren't forcing the goalkeeper to perform an identity the team can't consistently support. If the press is on, go long. If the box needs claiming, claim it. If the save needs to be ugly, make it ugly. That's why he doesn't look chaotic. Onana often looked like the match was happening too loudly around him. Lammens, even under pressure, has a calmer visual language, simple decisions, quick resets. His body language rarely screams panic, and that travels. Defenders feel it, the crowd feels it. The evidence built quickly. His debut against Sunderland in October, United won 2-0, first clean sheet of the season. His best save was a leg stop to deny Talby late on, but the loudest crowd reaction came when he claimed crosses in stoppage time. Not a spectacular save, just a goalkeeper dealing with a cross. The fact that Old Trafford cheered that tells you everything about where United fans were mentally. Tottenham away in November drew 2-2, but Lammens made instinctive saves from Romero's flick and then Palhinha in the second half. In a tight away game, those are the saves that decide whether you get a point or nothing. Wolves at home on December 30th, 1-1 draw, man of the match, 3 big saves, including a foot save from Hugo Bueno and a quick double save. Exactly the kind of game United fans understand. The team isn't fluent, the crowd gets restless, and the goalkeeper has to stop the night getting worse. The Manchester derby in January, United won 2-0. Lammens superbly clawed away Max Allen's header during a City pressure spell. Crucially, he'd conceded the corner himself moments before. He made a small mistake and immediately recovered. That's a very specific kind of maturity. Everton away in March, United won 1-0, big stop to deny Michael Keane. Afterwards, Lammens talked about defending togetherness, which is a small detail but a revealing one. He frames the position as collective, not a one-man show. Arsenal in January, United won 3-2 in one of the wildest league games of the season. Lammens produced a reaction parry to keep United in it during Arsenal's best spell.
Then came the second Sunderland game, May 9th, 2026. This one mattered differently because this wasn't a debut high or a honeymoon performance. This was month 8. The relationship had been tested and United were flat. No Sesko, no Casemiro. The attack was indecisive, the midfield couldn't take control, and United's only shot on target came in stoppage time through Cunha. Sunderland dominated the first half. This is exactly the kind of game United used to lose, not because they got destroyed, because they drift, fail to create, invite pressure, and eventually concede one avoidable goal that made everyone ask the same question again. But Lammens kept them alive. He tipped away Siddiqui's early goal-bound effort. He produced an excellent stop from Brugge after the break. Brugge drilled low beyond Maguire. Lammens got down and parried it clear. 4 saves total, matching his best clean sheet save performance of the season. He got an 8 out of 10 rating, with the Brugge stop rated even better than the Siddiqui save. On a day when United had no attacking authority, Lammens gave them defensive authority. When the outfield performance wasn't enough to win the match, the goalkeeper performance was enough not to lose it. And yes, he made a mistake in the 3-2 win over Liverpool, where Gakpo scored after a Lammens misstep. That needs saying. He's not perfect, more errors will come. But here's the thing about great United goalkeepers. They were never great because they avoided every mistake. Schmeichel had bad days, Van der Sar had bad days, De Gea had entire seasons of bad days. What made them stay was that their presence was bigger than their errors. They recovered, they made the next save. They didn't let one mistake become 2. Against Sunderland, Lammens looked like the same goalkeeper he was before Liverpool. That's the recovery, that's the trust building.
Here's the real point about United's goalkeeper problem. It was never only about talent. It reflected the club's wider instability. Mourinho wanted safety and defensive protection. Solskjaer's best sides ran on transitions and moments. Ten Hag wanted a build-up weapon. Amorim pushed for structure. Carrick's United went more direct and pragmatic. Every goalkeeper inherited a different Manchester United. One week you're playing short through pressure, the next week you're sweeping behind a high line. One week the centre-backs change, the next week the shape changes. And through all of it, when something goes wrong, the goalkeeper is still the one whose mistake becomes the headline. That's a brutal environment, and that's why Lammens' calm matters so much. He doesn't need to be world-class yet for the fear around Onana to become real. The fear for Onana isn't that Lammens is already perfect. The fear is that United fans are emotionally moving on, because once Old Trafford starts trusting another goalkeeper, the old one isn't just competing with form, he's competing with memory, and that's a much harder battle.
Lammens hasn't conquered Manchester United. He's 23, still learning the Premier League, and more mistakes are coming. That's just the job. But here's what actually matters. United fans are no longer watching their goalkeeper with fear, and once a fan base stops waiting for you to fail and starts expecting someone else to succeed, the door doesn't just close, it locks.